Three. What?
So I'll probably choke at some point.
3, 2, 1, go.
Go.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the What the Fun Show. Today's episode, we are reviewing episode 6 of The Rings of Power. Oh boy, we got a lot to talk about. If you're tuning in for the first time, go ahead and check out all the rest of the episodes because I'm here with my family. We got Joe. How you doing today, Joe?
I'm doing very well. How are you today, Mike?
I'm doing good. Glad.
All right.
Thank you for asking. I know you're getting over a cold. Hopefully you don't choke during this episode.
We'll see.
Okay. All right. And then Justin. Justin, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing good today. How are you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good, How you doing? Anyway, that's a whole different show. That was Friends. Anyway, yes, thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, this is our episode 6 review of the Rings of Power series. So if you have not watched any of our other reviews, go ahead and check them out. We'll have links down below, I believe. And yeah, if you're on a podcatcher of choice, please leave us a review. It really helps us out. It gets us in the algorithms and just yada yadas. You know the deal. Reviews are great. If you're on Spotify, you could leave a 5-star review on mobile only. And if you're on YouTube, hello. Thank you for joining us on the video version. Please hit that subscribe button, like the video, and let us know down below what you thought of Rings of Power episode 6. A little bit of housekeeping. We do have our Hocus Pocus review out that came out last week, as well as our Halloween series is going to be continuing this week. So if you're listening to my voice right now, in 2 days' time, Halloween 2018, me and Justin will have a review out on that. Okay. Spooky season is upon us, and there were some spooky parts of this Rings of Power episode. So let's get into it, gentlemen. Udun? Udun is the title of the episode. It premiered September 30th. And, yeah, just a banger of an episode, in my opinion. We'll get into it. Joe, let us hear your spoiler-free review.
All right. If you're ready, buckle up, kids. In this episode, we've got Harefoots. Tons of Harefoots. Hairy foots. No, they don't make an appearance, actually. So, episode 6, we're talking about elves. Straight up elves and men. That's what you got. If you want elves and men and women, then that's what you're going to find here. That's it.
All right, cool. Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elves, men, women, men. Also, not just the gender, but men as in the race. And also you get
okay.
Orcs.
What I meant to, yeah.
Orcs was a big part of this episode as well. You get lots.
Uruk.
Both.
It was
Orcs are still
Uruk.
there.
Yeah.
No. Uruk.
Okay. Sure. We'll get to that later
We'll
on when we start breaking down the definition of Uruk, which Joe will be wrong about. We will continue.
I'm putting my money on Joe. He knows way more about this than we do.
Yeah, but from the show standpoint, it was defined as a specific thing. So the orcs are separate. Continuing.
But continuing. The orcs are, all right, fine.
There's no wargs. There's no eagles yet. And we're excited to enjoy.
Is there orc dogs?
No, I said no wargs. I feel like this is a great episode if you like action. You finally got that build up, and it was well delivered. And eagles didn't come to save the day; they did it by themselves.
Mm-hmm. I think the eagles thing is very key. We got an action scene finally without No, I'm just kidding.
It's important.
The orcs.
This episode for me was probably perfect. I think that, I think that there was high stakes. There was drama within those stakes. No A1 sauce there. And the action was there too. I just think that within those stakes, the storylines that I have been enjoying from this series were just solidified and worked through in a very good way. So I'm going to argue that this episode was perfect for me. I think it was a masterpiece. So
would you say it's your favorite?
Yeah. This was probably my favorite episode so far. And I think mainly because the storylines within the action worked so well. I think that there was, I think that the drama was there that needs to be interwoven with the action to create this perfect episode for me. So
I've got some grapes, but we'll get to those.
I don't know if I have any gripes. Like, full disclosure, I was supposed to be folding laundry while watching this episode, and I could not keep my eyes off the episode. That's why I liked it so much. All right. So if you have not seen episode 6 of The Rings of Power season 1, this is your official. Wow, that's wrong. This is your official spoiler warning. Hey, you. What are you doing?
Who, me?
Do you want to be spoiled? No? Well then.
Stop it. Get some help.
So you don't feel like this guy. Instead, let it be a surprise.
Oh, I like surprises.
So go watch the thing before you move on in the podcast, okay?
Alrighty then.
I think we've given them enough time. Let's get into it. I still don't know how to pronounce it. Udun. Udun is the title of the episode. So Adar and the Orc army find the watchtower abandoned. While they search the grounds, Arondir destroys the tower, causing it to collapse onto the Orc army. What an opening scene, Joe.
Yes, it was an opening scene. No, it was really good. It was very suspenseful. The way they built it up, the way that you think that the people are still in there, because when we leave last episode, their whole thing is we're not going to leave, we're not backing down, we're going to stand our ground here and fight. Well, kind of what happens. They set a trap, and a beautifully set trap.
That's a different franchise.
That is a different franchise. And it goes to plan, right? This is a very well thought out and very well executed plan here, set by Arondir and the lady whose name I never remember. Theo's mom. Bronwyn, that's the one.
Bronwyn.
Broadsword. So Broadsword and Arondir, they set up this trap, and it goes very well.
That catch on, Justin. Okay, deal.
Okay. Yeah. So, yes, great opening scene, action packed. Really shows the skill set of the elf of Arondir.
Well, what you have not we are 6 episodes in, and you have not gotten his name right once.
Names are not my strong suit. So this awesome elf, was able to show and strut his stuff. Definitely a one-man army. He was the only one up there at the time. Kind of like laying the trap and also springing it. Really, really set the tone for this episode, going in already action-packed with that trick. So yeah, definitely liked it. We're gonna get more into that in a bit when we get down to the village.
Yeah,
but I love how it started off with the Orc army, not the Uruk army. Continue, Mike.
Okay. Let's go back to our spoiler-free review. Joe knows the difference. He was just playing with us.
Okay.
All right.
I'm just laying the foundation. That's all.
Now, what I need to say is that the story of Adar and Sauron and where Sauron is within this trap scene and action scene, and that's what I liked. It's just another example, and it's the first example in this episode of how they brought in the story of the world that they're building within the action so brilliantly, in my opinion. Because they again, as Joe said, it was very suspenseful. They had their discussion about Sauron, and you're sort of hanging by a thread of like, okay, is Adar actually going to talk about Sauron? And then bam, the trap is sprung, and we have to move on. And so like all these story threads just made me not fold laundry. So all right. So again, the townspeople who move down the valley to another village cheer as they prepare for the next assault. Arondir hides the broken blade, professes his love to Bronwyn, and promises a life together after the battle. I said I wanted to nip it in the butt. Because I like Bronwyn's character. I don't want to make a joke out of that.
Let's talk about the intro to this episode. The beginning of it, we see Adar planting oats, which is a strong elf superstition, seeds. I guess. Seeds. Oat seeds. And it's more of like, before a big battle, it's good luck to do this. It is bring life in stew of demise, or whatever the saying is. And Arondir shows Broadsword this method, and teaches her that she should do this as well. And that's a very strong elf thing to do. And if Adar is more on the dark side, why is he still staying true to the elf code for the most part?
Who knows? Joe, you got an insight on that?
I mean, he's elf. He's and we'll get to this, but he is an elf. And we talked about it early in episode 4, I think is when we covered it the first time. He's still an elf, so to speak. He is elf. He's kin of the elf. He's from the elven race. So he still has the same sort of virtues and respects those same things that race and his culture did before the fall, before Morgoth. And so he still respects that. And then in this episode, we learn more why he does that. It's not just because, he wants to keep the elven things alive. It's because he actually cares. He treats the orcs as his kin.
I was planting a seed for later, Joe.
But that's what he was doing.
Well, that's okay. So the battle begins, and while the villagers appear victorious, many of the enemy they killed were actually the traitorous townspeople disguised as orcs. So, again, the suspense is throughout this episode, and the thrill, and the okie dokes. They tricked the townspeople. This fight scene was really pretty awesome. With their traps that they sprung. Again, they had this idea of these flamed carts to keep the orcs within sort of this like square rectangle of fire.
Yeah, they corralled them.
I know I just said they corralled them. And just overall, just a really good plan of attack. However, Adar is a little bit smarter than just one elf and some townsfolk who haven't seen a battle like almost ever. Joe, we got people in disguise as orcs trying to battle their own kin, their own kind.
Yeah, and I kind of expected this after the first attack. When the tower fell and the orcs were hurt, that orc army was hurt and affected, we noticed that none of the human beings were really in that. And so moving to the second one, I didn't expect them to be disguised as orcs, but I did expect them to be used against their own people. I thought that they were going to be just out there like brazenly fighting against their kin, their townsfolk. So I was surprised when I thought it was all orcs. And then afterwards, it's like, that makes sense. Okay, they just disguise them.
Yeah.
But what a great plan by Adar. How smart to send not his kin in there, but his prisoners of war, essentially.
Justin, anything on this fight?
Yeah, I definitely saw that foreshadowing in the last episode where Adar was like, your faith must be shown in blood. That was really a foreshadowing for this moment of you literally have to kill your friendlies or your old friendlies in order to be part of us. Makes sense. One of the biggest parts.
It's pretty clear that that guy did murder the kid. You know, when told to.
Yeah. This is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, seeing as how he's still alive, yes.
Yeah.
Well, was alive. So I feel like the best part of this fight was probably the Arendur off the rooftop, sliding down, flipping cinematography, and then fighting the gigantic orc and being saved.
The big orc.
Yeah, and then being saved by broadsword. I feel like this is the biggest
By a broadsword
fight emotional scene.
By a broadsword. There you go.
Yeah. Both wielding and being.
Bronwyn.
Yeah, Bronwyn. Yeah. Broadsword, Bronwyn, whatever. So you've got this fight that this guy can put up a lot of, take a lot of snuff. He's getting thrown into bricks in the walls. Yeah, he's getting thrown up against the well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's getting choked. He's getting, attacked viciously by this orc. This was the gore. This was the gore for me. Number one gripe, he stabbed the gigantic orc in the eye, and they fought over the blade coming out of the eye, and then it was just a never-ending flow of black blood from an orc spraying down on him, and it just felt like it would never stop. It just kept going. That was definitely a little extra gore. That was more like a Tim Burton. It felt like
that's Sweeney. A gripe for you?
Yeah, unfortunately.
I thought that was good.
I thought it was really good.
Joe thought it was good. I thought it was a little too much. I just thought the injury didn't suffice.
Have you been stabbed in an eye before? Like, yeah. I feel like it would be. I feel like it would be extremely bloody.
But it
just
it would
like
have
what
been.
It was.
It would have been like pumping blood. It wouldn't have been a constant stream of blood, which is my problem with it. It was just a constant flow, as if you opened a tap.
I felt
Joe,
like every time
it sounds like we have an expert on orc anatomy, Joe.
If I could speak like him, I can anatomize him. So yeah,
it seemed like it was every time he strained, the flow would increase.
It was
every time
constant.
He was struggling. Well, it would ease off a bit though. Like on rewatching, just rewatch one more time and let me know. Yeah, every time he would strain and like push and like struggle, and he was like forcing the stick towards Arendir's eye. Every time he was having to put more effort in, the flow would increase, and then it would back off a little bit, and then it would increase again and start flowing. My gripe was that in the very next scene, after Bronwyn takes the sword and him from behind, the blood that was all over his face was no longer on his face, right where it should have been. It was on the other side and kind of down on his neck, and I was like, all the blood that like dripped around his mouth is gone.
In his mouth.
In his mouth, around his mouth.
See,
that was my big gripe.
That was my gripe about that scene. Was that he at the end of it? I wish he would have just. I wish there was a slight comedic element there, and he just like spit. He just like spit to the side and was like, something like that.
Something, yeah.
You can't do that in front of his love of his life. You couldn't do that. It would be disrespectful.
Anyway, I thought that fight was awesome. Once again, their use of slow-mo, I thought was good in that scene. And I think the choreography was really good too. And just seeing Arendir like fight the orc with hand-to-hand combat was good. I think they've gotten some good
foot-to-face combat.
Yeah, I mean both.
Yeah.
All right. As more villagers die. I'm sorry. The rest of the orc army attacks from the shadows, killing many and severely wounding Bronwyn. So this is what was cool, is that you saw Adar's plan come to fruition. There is the orcs that work in the shadow, and then there's the orcs amongst the traders villagers that worked in within the fight. So really good. It was a distraction so that they could get behind them and then attack when the time was right. And it worked because it does severely wound Bronwyn. More villagers are dying, and then Adar does end up showing up, and they're all in this tavern. This tavern was their space to
hide.
no orcs are to come into here. This is where our wounded and our vulnerable people are, who cannot fight. And
it was their stronghold.
It was their stronghold. We really get this scene, Justin, of tension, where Adar he's ruthless in this scene.
Yeah. Also, you get the whole like trying to save her life scene right before that. But once he shows up, once he gains entry into the stronghold, he is relentless. That is the best way to put it. He threatens lives instantly, starts killing people to get what he wants. He doesn't care who, and he notices who is the most important to the people that he's asking questions. So he immediately says, "Oh, kill the girl next." Broadsword or Borwin. Like you,
Bronwyn.
Boromir. You get those moments of tension of we just saved her life and she came back. Yeah. Now we're going to kill her. She's going to be dead again. Like
if I'm being completely honest too, and Joe, maybe you could talk about this. I thought they were going to kill her. I thought that they were going to really, really like prove that their viewers need to be on their toes about this show.
I wish that they did. I think for the sake of the show, to have actual stakes would have been nice. I
think there's enough stakes despite that, but I still think that I still thought that they were going to do it.
Every time any of the main players come under attack, they always survive. They always get out fine. She got an arrow through the shoulder. They say severely wounded. She got an arrow through the shoulder. Like maybe the gut would have been severely wounded. That would have been something they couldn't just patch up. But
yeah,
'tis merely a flesh wound. Like straight up, she got hit in the shoulder. It was barely a thing. Oh, she was bleeding. Whatever. I wish they would have gone full bore here and just taken her out. Made the show have stakes so that we had to care about the characters more. Because if they do this, if they take it the Game of Thrones route where you're not sure who's going to survive, you just care more. You care more about the characters in it. And while she is important to the story, obviously, I think they could have written it in a way where her death was meaningful and paid off huge in the end. I was surprised that she didn't die.
I still think that we will get this storyline, but obviously Bronwyn's going to be a part of it now. But I thought that Arondir would then take in Theo, and we would sort of have this like father-son type deal of him, taking care of Bronwyn's son. And, that's where my mind was going. So I really thought that they were going to do it. I disagree with your point. I still think that there are stakes within this show,
Bronwyn.
within this scene. I mean, I do. I think she's a really cool character. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know about that.
My opinion.
Your opinion. But at the end of the day, like, I think that they could have taken that risk. It's okay that they didn't for me. Justin, what did you think? Did you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, of course. This definitely wasn't a Liam Neeson stab through the gut. This was something that she could survive with the proper treatment, and that's what they gave her. So I feel like this is early.
One was with a lightsaber. Come on now.
Yeah. So this was early in my book to kill her off. I think the stakes need to be a little bit higher in her book. They just confessed their love. They just started that
perfect
emotional game.
And that's why it would have been a good time. I could see it both ways.
I disagree. I think that there needs to be a point where it's up to Arondir to save her life or not. And that's what's going to be the turning point for Theo. That is going to be the crucial moment in my book. That's going to either take him down the good path or the bad path. If he doesn't save her, he's going to go down the bad path. And that's where he's going to start trembling.
Anakin moment.
An Anakin moment. Exactly. You didn't save my mom, so why should I be under your wing? I don't think that would happen. If he does save him, happy family, sure thing. But I feel like those stakes need to be a little bit higher on that book before they pull the hatchet on her.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I agree with that, but I also agree with the other way. Like, I think that they could have done both and gotten away with either.
I think Theo had no chance of going positive if that were to happen right now.
No, I disagree. Like, I think that Arndir, they've built him up to have a little bit of an impact and enough impact on Theo to make it okay, depending. And,
and we'll talk about that towards the end of the episode as well.
See.
Yes.
So let's get into it. As more villagers die, Theo reveals the location of the broken blade to Adar to save Bronwyn. Now, that's one of the things. Like, that's one of the things I really liked about Adar in this scene, is that he shows his control over the orcs, and the orcs are very, very receptive to their leader. And so, yeah. Now Adar has the blade. Has the blade in his possession. Let's pause there, though. After journeying across the sea, the Numenorian army is here. So we got a little bit of a story thread with Galadriel and I forget his name, but the son of the sea leader,
Isildur.
Yeah, Isildur. There we go. And then Albrand as well is on the ship. So they're, I mean, I didn't think they were going to make it in time, to the fight, like, because they were sort of saying that, hey, this is going to be a long time to get there. It's going to be a day's time to finish this, sea trip. And then it's going to be another day's time on horse to get to where they needed to go. So I thought that they weren't even going to make it, but that's not good television. I guess.
Exactly.
They get there and it's just all empty, blood everywhere.
Right. So they do approach on horse, and they slay and capture the remaining orcs.
Brutal.
So let's talk about this fight scene. Justin, chime in.
Yeah. My other gripe, the way that Galadriel entered the scene. This horseback riding, side saddle, side off the hang. Obviously she's an elf. Obviously she's skilled, but I just felt it was unneeded. It wasn't necessary in my mind. I don't think that she needed to do that. Everyone else came in brutal as heck. They were killing things left and right, and she comes in and she dodges a spear, and she's like dodging things and just continuing to move forward. And I just didn't feel it. It didn't hit right for me. I don't know.
I'm with you.
I disagree. She's dodging arrows, dudes. Like, she's dodging arrows, spears, like, and she is an elf. Like, if you have a gripe with this, then you have to have a gripe with most of the Legolas things that you see in the original trilogy.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, I completely disagree.
I understand who Galadriel is supposed to be in this series. I just don't think that they've painted that picture well enough for us to believe that. I think they need to do a better job. And when she comes in, jumping off the side of her horse and like hanging over, you're like, okay, cool. Like, she dodged a spear. Okay, cool. She's riding through the battle and not getting hit by arrows. And then, I mean, Halbrand has better scene than she does here.
I think honestly, the thing that really brought it down for me is the last time we saw Galadriel on a horse, and it left a salty taste in my mouth. So I think that's what it was. You saw her.
Yeah,
do these
I mean, you
tricks and
can't
stuff.
let the past scenes dictate what your opinion is of this scene.
I don't know.
What do you mean? Like, they don't do slow motion. It's completely different.
Well, horse battle right through the main of the battle. She does nothing to kill other people. She just woosies on through and follows Adar, who's also taking off on horseback.
I mean, you're missing like all of the times that she killed orcs, like in between.
She did. She hung off upside down and sliced one in half.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I won't take away credit where credit is due. She killed some orcs in there. I was more impressed by the seafaring soldiers than I was her performance here. Whether that be the curly haired dude or Isildur, or I don't remember the curly haired dude's name, the one who's friends with Isildur and punches him. Ontimo is the only one I remember, and that's the other guy.
Maybe it's because they weren't used to battle, so we're seeing them improve and actually be put in the thick of it. So I think that's why we like them a little more.
Maybe. We saw him go up against Galadriel, and he held his own pretty well. Him against orcs was obviously almost no contest. He did really well against them. maybe it just felt like there was more stakes because they were not elves, so thus not as skilled, not as fast, not as strong, not as keen with their senses and stuff. There was more weight to that action than there was her riding through on horseback, dodging things, cutting an elf in half, or cutting an orc in half, and then
doing what elves do.
I'm not thrilled with her character. We all know this.
Legolas would have been riding it like a surfboard and doing flips. It would have been awesome.
And I would have had more gripes with that.
Yeah, he would have been awesome. All right. So they chase Adar on horseback. She kind of like neck and neck with him. She speaks some Elvish, kind of similar back to the original trilogy, to make the horse go faster. And then they speed up, and lo and behold, I don't know how this happened, but Halbrand is on the opposite side of where they were running, and he decides, I'm going to trip this horse. Not stab it, trip it. And
that was smart.
He hangs off the side, very similar to an elf would, and throws his spear out and holds it strong. Holds it strong without breaking the spear, and also stopping the weight of a horse, which is a lot.
Yep.
And tripping up Adar. Adar flies off and is able to continue moving, unlike Christopher Reeves, and continues to move and crawl towards the
All right,
hill.
I'm taking this over. This ship is sailed. Okay, so Halbrand jumps onto Adar and wants to kill him, Joe, but Galadriel stops him from doing that.
We learned that there's history here, which I thought was important. I love the story bits here, right? The story bits I think are the most important and key parts. We all know I'm not a huge battle fan. I'd much rather have the story, keep the love stories out of it, give me actual good, like, meaningful story. So I enjoyed this part. I liked his struggle. There's obviously some history here, some past with Adar. He says, "Do you remember me?" As if he's supposed to. And Adar's like, no, you're meaningless to me. Of course I don't know who you are. You mean nothing to me. And Halbrand wants to kill him. He wants to shove his spear through his throat. We definitely got that from it.
Yeah.
Galadriel stays his hand, convinces him somehow not to do that.
Yeah.
And so she can talk to him, right? She wants information.
Which is why I think that, again, I think this just all reiterates that I think that this is a masterclass of like drama within action. Like you said, Joe, you liked the story beats that they put into these action scenes, and I thought it was done brilliantly. I think they did so good to give us tidbits here and there to make us look forward to what's going to come, either in the next couple episodes or also within the next season too, just to see where these story threads end up. So yeah, they do capture Adar. They end up interrogating him, and they discover his origins as one of the Marandir, or Orcs. Those were elves that are corrupted by Morgoth back when Morgoth was around. And we also find out, Justin, that Adar is the father of orcs. Father of orcs.
Yeah, he was one of the first. Definitely interesting there. I think I mentioned that when we first...
Still think this is Sauron. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, he does mention something that's really weird. I don't know if I can believe it or not, but he says that he had to give his children to Sauron's plans, and eventually he got fed up because he loves them. They have hearts, they have names. He cares about them because they're his children, regardless to what they look like. And he slices him open. So he said that he killed Sauron, or at least injured him in a way that would end him. Very interesting. I don't know if I believe it. I really don't think I do. Definitely wouldn't. You need some proof on that for sure, especially when it's your life goal right now. You would need something to kind of back it up.
I mean, we also just can't believe him because the story. Like, we know that Sauron is coming back. It's just when. And who knows? Maybe he did kill him, but
it's a different form coming back.
Maybe Sauron had a backup plan, knowing that this could potentially happen. Who knows?
Horcruxes. I got you.
Yeah, Horcruxes. Yep, exactly. Anyway, so Joe, like, obviously Galadriel doesn't believe him, and then Galadriel is about to kill him. Like, Galadriel is up in Adar's face, and to return the favor, Albrand comes and stops Galadriel.
Yeah, he stays her blade.
Mm-hmm.
Tit for tat. I like it. It was good. I didn't understand why she wanted to kill him so bad. That was a little bit for me. I understand that she was, but like, elves are supposed to be restrained, right? And he calls her out, like, "Oh, I'm not the only elf who's touched the darkness," and she didn't like that, and she was like, "Whiny, whiny, whiny, I'm gonna kill him." And so she's about to kill him, has her knife, well, her brother's knife, to his throat, and Halbrand walks in. It's like, "Whoa, what are you doing there, huh, Galadriel? I thought we were on the same page. He stays alive." And so they have their little meeting and story that I didn't like.
Really?
Why? Because there's a potential love thing going on? Or
yes. As we've covered many times, these unnecessary and trivial love interests, especially between elves and men, come on, it's a joke, is ridiculous. It's not necessary for the story. It doesn't do anything for it. It doesn't move it forward. It just adds a reason that we should care more. Well, if they have good story writing, we should care already. And to try and like hammer fist all this stuff in there.
Storytelling.
Yeah, no, not for me. I don't like the Bronwyn Arendir crap either. That one, another thing that would have been more meaningful if she had died. That's the only good thing that can come from that, is that she dies and is now a force within him for doing more.
You heard it here. Don't watch romance movies with Joe.
What's going to happen? Don't watch romance. We have beings who live eternally and humans who get maybe 100 years. Back in this day, maybe 80 years. Literally the blink of an eye. So that means
that they can't experience love no matter what race they want to love?
Yes. It means it's pointless.
Okay. Yeah, I 100% hard disagree. Anyway,
if your idea of love is watching the people you love die over and over and over again for thousands of years, that is some sadistic love.
I mean, as you learned in the original trilogy, that love conquers that stuff. It is higher above people living. Anyway, Justin.
One person gives up her immortality, and that storyline is also crap.
We're moving on. This show today, guys, holy buckets. Justin, there's a love story potentially brewing between Albrand and Galadriel, but then Albrand is requested by the regent, and he is now hailed as the king of the Southlands. He is the king that they have been awaiting.
Yeah, I've definitely been seeing kind of nods to Aragorn throughout his stature and his, his character in general. I feel like he could definitely be a great grandfather or something like that to Aragorn back in the day, or even longer. I know their race, Aragorn's race, ages a lot longer than, not quite as long as elves, but still long enough that they can definitely age that way. I like it. I'm okay with this love story. I don't care, Joe. Whatever. I like the beats.
Well, Aragorn comes from Isildur's line.
Yeah.
He's Isildur's heir.
Yeah.
Not Halbrand. Not a Southlander. He's a Númenorian.
Go way back. Adam and Eve style.
So Isildur and Elendil are related to Halbrand somehow.
That's Theo realizes that the broken blade they recovered was actually a decoy, while the true blade...
Wait. I want to talk about this one scene. My other gripe is Arendir trying to break this blade on a anvil. He's hitting it with a hammer, and he's smashing it, and it's not working. And then the hammer, which is a basic hammer from a workshop, breaks, and then he just chucks the piece of wood. He says that the most ridiculous line. I hate it so much. This was the line that took me out in this episode. He said, "We don't have the means to destroy this." As if he tried everything. He was hitting it with a basic hammer. He didn't try any other bigger tools. He didn't get dwarves involved. He didn't try any of that. He just tried hitting it like,
okay,
we can't do
why
this.
are you upset at that dialogue? Do you think they have dwarves in this small town? Like, yeah, let me get my dwarf from this closet and let him try. Like, he did try all of his means.
This man is very knowledgeable. Okay, he is very smart in the world of Middle Earth.
That's a little too nitpicky for me.
I feel like he would have been like, we have other options. We just can't destroy it. We don't have the means to destroy this. Like, really?
Justin, he didn't have any other means at the time that he was trying to destroy it.
Okay.
Did he have time to go to Valinor and like have the elves destroy it? No.
Also, if Sauron was able to create this hilt out of this metal that no one can destroy, why have they not used this? Yeah. Why have they not used this for armor and things on orcs to create things that were impenetrable? I just feel like that's a broken line there. I don't know.
I think it's imbued with dark magic.
There's no broken line. That's ridiculous. That's so nitpicky.
Like the ring. The ring is made of gold, the One Ring, but it's imbued with dark magic and thus can't be destroyed. Although I do think there's a place where he could destroy that, and we see it in the end of this episode. I think that he absolutely could have destroyed it. With someplace that wasn't too far, a day's travel maybe.
Yeah.
They could have destroyed Sauron once and for all. Horseback.
It's the lava.
You guys are ridiculous. All of you, we're landing this ship. Theo realizes that the broken blade they recovered was a decoy, while the true blade had been carried back to the watchtower by Waldrig. He plants it into a mechanism, causing a nearby dam to open, and we now figure out why the orcs were building those tunnels. And it is because this dam overflows with water, and all the water rushes through the orc tunnels that they built, and it goes to Orodruin and clashes with the magma in there, resulting in the mountains. Resulting in the mountain's eruption and a pyroclastic cloud that approaches the village. And what a way to end the episode. I will say this over and over again. If you are not watching this show on a 4K TV, you need to, because this last scene was epic. Absolutely epic.
Now,
yes.
Let me talk about something here.
Oh, you got a gripe about this too, huh?
No, actually, I don't. Actually, it's something I noticed. And a keen eye might have also noticed. Hopefully you guys did. Throughout this entire lava explosion, Mount Doom erupting and changing the landscape scene, you had shots of Adar still chained up, sitting there in the barn. And then later on, after the explosion and the smoke and the fog hits the building that he's in, or the village that he's in, it comes towards the doorway. And there's a shortcut, maybe like the last 10, maybe 5-10 seconds of the episode, where it's just the chains. And he broke out. Yeah. He got free. I don't know if you saw that. It was pretty cool to see how quick it happened. How quick it happened. It was cool. Now, this is going to change the landscape. Like I said, this is creating Mordor. Literally. In front of our eyes, we are getting the landscape change. The shift that's creating Mordor, not only on the ground level, but also the fog and the smoke above, which will allow orcs to come out during the day. They won't be as cowering to the sunlight. They won't have to worry about it. All the crap's breaking loose. And what a better way visually to do it. That was awesome.
All right, Joe, I will let you say your one gripe. Go ahead.
We've been talking a lot about his choice and the path that he's going to take between good or bad, right? He had the opportunity here to tell Arondir, hey, what you gave me was a fake, and he didn't. He also has taken every opportunity to make the wrong choice, the bad choice, the dark path choice.
He didn't have exactly a chance to talk to Arondir.
Yeah, immediately.
Absolutely. He opened that thing up.
He opened it up, and then
there was a few minutes at
came.
least before.
No, there wasn't.
Yes, he's sitting there, and they cut scenes to a different thing, and then they go to Waldrig up on the mountain. He could have easily ran over as soon as he opened it up and been like, "Oh no! He isn't what it is."
He opened it up. It cut to the scene of Waldrig putting the key in, and so those things were happening simultaneously.
So why not, from when he did it, run over to where Arondir is and say,
because
hey,
there's
it's
a
fake.
huge mountain erupting in the background. Like, he's not going to be worried about going to tell them, because
There
here's
was
the
time
thing.
in between.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If a huge mountain is erupting with magma, I think Arondir can guess where this sword is.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's my thought.
So far to me, Arondir is not that intelligent. Otherwise, he would have just opened the damn cloth himself and looked in it and been like, oh, look at that. It's a hatchet. Or he could have felt at any point in time when it was in his hands that, wow, this is not a sword hilt. This is a completely different feeling. It's not round like the thing I was holding before. It's totally flat and has pointy little angles.
I've decided.
I'm just saying, he is not that smart. And Theo had an opportunity to tell him what he should have told him, which is it's a fake. I think Theo is already on that path and has made every bad choice up to this point. Every selfish choice, rather.
I will agree to disagree.
I'd like to throw one little thing in here. A little missed story beat. When Galadriel wiped that knife off, the dagger, she wiped it off from Adar's blood because she was literally drawing blood on his throat. She wiped it off on the cloth that was wrapped around this. Can you imagine what would have happened? I don't know if it would have been different, but imagine if it was the hilt and that blood got on it. Like, what could have happened that could have been different from Theo's blood that we've seen? Because that would have been insane to see.
All right, Justin, roll into your rankings. All in, still optimistic or concerned?
God, this episode had so many strong points, but also so many weak points. I'm gonna go with all in 5. I thought this episode was almost as good as my favorite, which was number 4. But this one was visually so good. You got the action. You got finally the climax of that story still going up. It's not complete climax, but it's still going up there, and you got some action with those story beats throughout. I'm okay with the romance. I'm okay with the action that was shown. I felt like it was warranted, and it was worth something. Definitely good plot-wise, and keeps me going. I can't wait. Like I said, Fridays can't come sooner. I wish they would release them all. Just give them to us.
Joe's still optimistic, I'm assuming?
Like 3-4 here.
Well, I mean, we're not doing numbers, but are you optimistic or all in yet?
I'm more concerned optimistic.
Oh, so you're leaning back a little bit.
Yes, there was enough here to make me... I really thought that Bronwyn should have passed, deceased, died to further the cause. I thought that would have added a lot of weight. The romance scenes, both between Galadriel and between Arondir, so far pointless. We know that the Arondir one's been there for a bit. The Galadriel one doesn't make sense. So we'll see. Everything else was good. I do like the story. So optimistic there, concerned with the certain things that they're throwing in there.
I am all in. I think that this episode was a masterpiece. I thought it was so good with all the story beats, with it interwoven within the action. I'm all in. I love the show. I just can't wait for more, just like Justin said. So, all right, listeners, wild episode. These two shenanigans over here. I just kept my mind's blown, not by the episode alone. We find out. All right. Thank you so much for listening to us. Let us know down below in the comments section, at least on our YouTube channel or within a review of the podcast, what you think of the series so far, specifically episode 6 here. And follow us on social media. We're at What the Fun Pod on Twitter as well as Facebook. You could connect with us there. And let me give you a challenge. If you've listened to this whole episode, we would just really appreciate that you share it out. Again, yeah, we could do all these things about hashtags and getting us out on social media and sharing on that, but word of mouth is always going to be the best. So share about this podcast. We would love to have new listeners to our show. And so for Joe, for Justin, my name is Mike. This has been Rings of Power episode 6 review, the What the Fun Show. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.